All right, we're going to start the meeting now. So if everyone can please mute your microphones. There's going to be a section where I'll open up the floor for anyone to have any questions or concerns and whatnot. But as of right now, please mute your microphone and all that. All right, so first of all, I would like to say welcome and to everyone who is new to the server. I want to say welcome again and thank you for joining and all that. So we're going to be starting off with adding 3 new official moderators of the Discord channel. And the first one is Multi Rockman. Second one is Frenzy. The third one is Kiwi Doodles. So welcome you 3 to being official moderators of the Discord. So that is fun. All right, I'm just going to be restating this again. Where whitelist applications will take up to 24 hours, depending on how they get processed into the database. So if you have a friend that you wanted to invite to a Discord server and the server in general, please just give them that disclaimer and all that, because I've been seeing quite a few people asking about the applications, how long, and sort of pestering, so to speak. And I don't think they've been properly told or, rephrase that, hey, we've given a 24-hour window. Sometimes it's a 5 minutes you'll get whitelisted or next day. So just please remind everyone in the server about that. We're going to be moving on to the next section. Please do not DM anyone who's under the management role. Please don't do that because one, they have a lot on their plate, and two, the more they are busy trying to reply to DMs is times that they cannot manage other things. So try also too, try avoid messaging the staff in general unless the staff members have messaged you or the individual, then they can reply. But try put them in, remind people to post in help desk, and then staff will be able to address that going forward. So yeah, just remind people about how the flow of if you're having a question and don't feel like it's being answered, reach out in the help desk. All right. Again, submit bugs as well as suggestions on our new forums. They're no longer here on Discord, so not in the support section. We should have pins there pointing to the website itself, but just remind people that I'm not sure if the discussion section is going to be removed, but that'll be something that the management will talk about. So let's see here. Moving on, let's see. So for those who are curious, how updates actually work, basically the development team, what they do is they process they push the uploads to a sort of queue, so to speak, and then everything has to be approved to Bjorn. So with updates that if you heard that there was an update that's being pushed, it has to be verified through Bjorn. So it could be there's a little delay. So yes, the change or patch is queued up, but it needs to be processed by Bjorn. So just wanted to give you, like, in case you're wondering why is there a time frame between people saying that it is out versus actually seeing it in game. That's why. So again, just patience is the key, and just like development is a very small staff. It's not an official AAA company, so everything cannot be updated and all that in like 5 minutes or so. All right. So what we're going to do is move on to the next section is just a little bit of updates on certain things. Basically, I compiled sort of like a little list and broke it down by criminal, cops, as well as the civilian life, and just been going through all the comments I've been seeing and just comments from people who have DM'd me, and just compiled it all into one thing. And so for the criminals, for you criminals out there, what's being worked on currently is the drugs. And I actually saw, I'm actually in the Bjorn talking to someone, I'm not sure who, but sounds like most of these being worked on, we don't have a time frame. I've talked to development, and basically we just had to go with coming up soon. So development is trying to push it out as soon as they can, but due to time constraints and who knows, they're going to be coming out as best they can. So drugs are being worked on, and the fines for, and let's see. And also, I did see a comment about for a few people that saying activities that criminals can do when there's no cops on duty. There is the chop shop, and you can have also, you can actually rob people, so that's an option that you can do. But there are a few things that I believe the dev team is looking into. David, do you want to push your say anything about that?
Sorry, was this?
This is with the
like
activities without any cops in the server.
Oh yeah, so it's mainly a case of, yes, there's not a lot to do. There are things that are actually on the server, like you can break into houses, which no one's noticed or ever done, because you need lockpicks. You can, well, there's stuff in the works as well, like possibly exporting cars. You got, like Gray said, you can RP rob people. Like, you don't just have to do things just because it's a mechanic as well, you know, that type of thing. So like, there's a lot to do as a criminal, but it's just not all of it is mechanically implemented just yet.
Yes. Do you want to expound upon the breaking in the homes? Because it seems like not a lot of people knew that there was even a mechanic in the server.
Yeah, no one does. It's quite funny. So the main reason why no one knew about it is because you need lockpicks, and they've only recently been discovered on the server again. There are a select few houses which I don't believe are marked in any way, which is quite interesting. But you break into it, and then there's like certain sections in the house that you will go and rummage through to get items. There's a chance to get different items depending on the house type.
Keep in mind you can only do it at certain times, so like nighttime.
Yeah. What else was it? It was a case of when you lockpick a door, it is a chance to break in. It's not a guaranteed thing, so you use up lockpicks. However, the items you get from it are almost random in a way. They are from a loot table, but it can be ranging from like a diamond to a bit of leather. You know, it's quite a big range of things that you can get depending on the house that you break into. But it's a case of finding the houses.
Okay. So do criminals know where lockpicks are, or is that sort of like you have to find
Some
through
do.
RP? Is that like a?
Some do, yeah. Find an RP because it's like black market related, I think.
Okay. I'm just waiting for see what Frenzy has of this. Okay. So there was a little bit of talk about the chop shop. Chop shop making less money. I don't really quite know what that means, but basically there is a mechanic that's going to be implemented in the future that basically um, is when you chop up a car is going to give you crafting materials that you can use for a new feature that David, could you expound upon that because you were telling me over voice?
Oh, so the chop shop thing is what I've basically worked on mainly. Essentially, what it will be doing is, well, what it's doing right now. It gives you plastic, metal, and a small chance of electronics. Electronics are meant to be quite rare, and yes, they don't sell for much right now. But it's a case of it was implemented for a future crafting system that's going to be added to the server at some point. But that's why they don't sell for a lot, because you can get a crap ton of them.
Okay, so 350 for a lockpick. Is that basically what I'm seeing in chat right now?
Is it 350 or 250?
Looks like people are saying is 350.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
the
350.
price. Sorry, this is Bjorn. So a lot of this stuff will be in flux. Like, what I mean by that is it'll be changing, very frequently, because once we do get the inventory system stable, which I'm working on right now. Actually, I have a few updates for that for later, that I can give you guys. Essentially, right. Once we get the inventory system set up and it's stable, we'll be working on pretty much like 3 or 4 separate pathways for activities, right? We've got like the civilian activities, the general activities that are, for everybody. You've got the criminal activities, and you've got the public service activities, right? So we're going to be doing a lot of work in all of those areas after we have some stable, like at least 3 or 4 stable days where there's no serious or critical issues. Yeah, so I just wanted to update on that. So a lot of the criminal activities will be changing, drug prices, like the economy is still in flux. It's better than it was before. I know it seems like it's absolute trash, but in the last 6 or 7 months, it's in a better state than it's ever been. So it's a ongoing process as well. We take your feedback, like when you guys say things are too much, we do take it into account. We did lower all the vehicle prices, maybe not by as much as some of you may have wanted, but we dropped the prices like at least 15 to 20% across the board. But anyway, sorry, go ahead and
No,
continue.
no, it's fine. Thank you
I just
for
wanted to expand on that.
thank you for clarifying, because again, I'm just basing off what I've heard with the community and from the dev chat. So clarification on stuff from devs would be most appreciated.
Yeah. And so, real quick, last night I did get working. Essentially, right now, all the shops and everything are stored in configuration files, right? So we have the situation where um, I need drug prices from one resource put into the shop resource so that it can sell the drugs for the right price, right? So that connection that I made is supposed to work, but isn't working with the current way the resource is set up. So what I've done is I've taken all of those configuration files and the configuration for all the shops, and I stored it in the database. So I've added a couple new tables. I've added all the basically I've started adding the stores to the database, and I've made it, tested it, and it works in a way where I can add items to a store without restarting the server. And when you open the store, it'll have those new items in the store already. That works right now on my local, and right now I'm just finishing it out, trying to test any other bugs that might be with it. But if this works fully, yes, it does include clubs. Anywhere where you have a shop where you have to open it and you purchase things, the um, LSMD medicine cabinet, the or whatever, you know what I mean. Any place where you buy items, this would be stored in the database and managed in the database. And I've got that working this weekend. I hope to have that out, that update out, which means the drug locations will be fixed, the stores will be fixed. You may still see or find that there are inventory issues. It's a relatively new inventory system, and I've been kicking myself trying to honestly rewrite it and just do my own. But time is a very scarce thing for me. So
And plus, you were just for
I do a lot
everyone's
of work.
knowledge. Like Bjorn was
What's up?
actually sick for
Yeah, for 2
yeah.
weeks.
So
It was
just for you guys
absolutely
know
fucking
that
trash.
you know, he was not ignoring us. He was actually dealing being sick. So
And I just want like the community to understand that anytime there's any situation where real life takes real life has some issues, or you need to step away, I tell the staff team 100%, 10 out of 10 times, do your real life stuff first and then come back to the project. Like we're not working for money, we're not working for, you know, like any kind of stakeholders, you know what I mean? We don't have anybody that's telling us to do the work other than the community, right? And this is a passion project first. And I make sure that the staff team understands that they need to take care of their lives first, which is why we have an admin that's been out for a bit. You know, she's dealing with real life stuff. Do what you need to do and come back when you're ready, right? That's my motto, and that's how it always will be. So if there's like a long gap of no updates, or usually there's gonna be updates. I mean, we've updated like at least 6 or 7 times this week. It just hasn't been, the critical updates because I'm having to work on those because they're a little bit more complicated, right? Um, but like, I just want everybody to understand that this is a passion project, and this project is secondary to everybody's life. So everybody's real life, their health, everything like that. Just want to keep that in mind so everybody understands the level that we're working at. Anyway, continue.
thank you. All right, so yeah, some fun things coming down the pipe for Crims, and looks like this weekend some of the issues that have been hounding the server are going to be addressed, so that is a good sign. All right, so let's move on to the cops section of this list here that I have. There have been a few comments, and I personally have seen it, being a director of EMS, just hearing on the radio chatter as well. Cops shouldn't need to clear stores, and shouldn't be their choice depending on what the situation is. This is a valid concern, but again, this is sort of something that the PD as a whole needs to come together and talk about what their how their operations are moving forward. So, for you people who have cops characters and all that, you have your own Discord, so go ahead and chat away on that, because we can't really address that as admins or anything. That's a complete yep, Lexi.
If you want me, you know, it could be a pretty fast clear, like you're literally just running out within a few minutes, but you should always be clearing stores, in my opinion.
Okay, so there we go. Again, PD, go ahead, and if you some members who are not liking the answer, you have your own Discord, discuss that. Cops need more details on cars when I believe this is being either stolen or on that. Right now it's not being worked on, but definitely is possibly doable down the road. So yeah, addressing that. The shots fired reports. Let's see here. Let's see here. It saying something about like the circle needs to be more detailed or whatnot. Can someone who is a officer here in chat go ahead and just type in what that? Well, let's see here. I'm just reading chat real quick. Hang on. Let's see here. It's all good, Paul. Yeah, I think that that concern was with the shots fired is just a big circle and doesn't give much detail. It just shows in the area. So I guess the request was to have a little bit more detail in that. Again, I think that's something that development will have to look into later down the road. Probably not right now. Let's see here. Jewelry stores may need to be increased to 4. So I guess that statement is 4 cops need to be on the server to have that mechanic available. Again, not quite sure. Was that a reason for that? All right, shots fired reports unless it's an active gang war. Anyone in the dev team, can you have any thoughts on that? On what Paul just said?
Why is it needed? That's. It used to be 4 cops, then it dropped down to 2, I believe, because there was only shops that people could rob at that point. Is there any reason in particular as to why you'd want it increased back up to 4? It's probably that big question.
Any criminals, like, you can chime in here as well. So I know they're.
I think the main reason for 4 is because it's kind of hard to sustain a robbery like that with only 2 officers sometimes.
Because these
True.
are big robberies usually done by 4 people. Okay. The breaching and all that.
No, jewelry stores not.
Can I say something about that by chance?
Sure, go ahead.
It's all in the role play that people bring into it. You guys can, like, you could be chill about it and say, hey, you guys do what you guys got to do, and then we can start a chase or whatever. It's all based on how people want the interaction to go. Do they want a good chase, or do they just want to be that person? Oh, there's only 2 here. There might be only 3 here. Let's just run, you know?
Okay. Yeah, if you're running in one car, that's 1 RP with. Okay. Let's see. I think that will be for further discussion, but at least I put it on the table that it is a concern. So again, you know, we can definitely have the dev team and I guess PD coordinate and discuss it as well as the criminals. So again, I'm going to consider this topic as an still on the table, and so at least people are aware that this is a concern. So there's been talks about being a solo cop on the server. I feel that this is sort of not quite sure how we could help that solo officer do stuff. I guess that's maybe a discussion for the PD and seeing what kind of resources they can have at their disposal as a solo. Again, not being part of PD anymore, I don't really know the ins and outs of anything that's been updated or not. So guess for those who have concerns as a solo officer, I guess you can just discuss that within your department going further. Fake hostages out of control. Yeah, this is something that I would like to address with the community. I think this will be a good discussion as well. Both go ahead and just make sure you type it and we can Legacy, do you have any thoughts on the fake hostages situation out of control?
In my opinion, I don't really like fake art, to be honest. It's kind of a fail RP situation from my standpoint.
Okay. Okay.
But I also get why they're doing it, because the population is so low, sometimes you can't even find anybody to take hostage.
Right. Do you need a hostage for, like, again, I don't have a criminal. The only people I have is an EMS character, so I sort of think that you don't need a hostage, but again, that's from my really dumb non-crim.
You don't. It really depends on the RP that you provide to the police, to be honest.
Okay, I see. All right.
Just because you don't have a hostage doesn't mean police will be breaching in and just shooting you in the head.
Okay.
If you provide good RP, they should be providing good RP back.
Okay. I'm waiting for people to. Looks like quite a few people are wanting to voice their thoughts. You turned it down. Nice. The last encounter I had with a fake hostage was incredibly lazy RP, so unless we're actually going to revive it. Okay. Okay, so it looks like that sort of moving away toward from not doing the fake hostage. I think it looks like almost everyone is, the majority of you are in agreement on that. Okay. Well, all right, there we go. And again, I think it boils down to if you give good RP, like if you give good RP, people will most likely give good RP back. So yeah, there we go. What Bjorn said, RP first. So there we go. And that has been addressed. All right, so let's move over to the Civ life. So yes, dev team is very aware that the inventory for everybody is very buggy, but we just heard from Bjorn that he is pushing updates and all that, and that will be addressed. Also the economy, that's also being covered by Bjorn as well, so we already got answers to that. And clarity on updates. Yes, I agree that some of them might some of the updates were a little bit confusing, but I'm going to be sort of heading up, getting clarity from the dev team, so so we can sort of get more communication out and explanations of what the news updates. So I'll be sort of heading up that, and if any of the moderators who are now official moderators and all that are wanting to help with that, that'll be great. But yes, clarity on updates will definitely be much better moving forward. All right, EMS and PD rates and all that. Again, as Bjorn said, right now the economy's in flux due to how we had to do the wipe, and we like a lot of economy changes. So dev team has heard from both EMS and PD, and we'll be adjusting accordingly. But again, time, just wait, be patient, and just go from there. Fishing is broken. Did I hear from a dev that that's fixed? Is that correct?
It's not broken. It's just the items are missing from shops, as far as I'm aware.
Okay, so the mechanic of fishing is not. It's just the rod and bait is just missing from the shop. Is that correct?
As far as I'm aware at this point in time.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we have no,
it's not.
sort of like is one of the pushes soon going to be for having the those inventories back, items to do those?
So that will be part of the inventory update and moving stores into the database. The second part will be the community making a suggestion or bug report for the items that are missing. So here's the deal. A lot of the items I am trying to update, remove, add, etc. So there's a bunch of them that are still in French. I literally want to just overhaul the items, basically make new items, rename the items that don't make sense, etc. So if you can give me a list of the items that you would want to see in a suggestion, or like, and if everybody can participate in that, it would be awesome, because if we can get everybody in on it, I think we can get a solid item list. I can work on adding those items this week or next week, essentially.
And again, don't message don't message staff.
Yeah,
submit
no,
it
put
in the
suggestion.
suggestions on their new website, which is amazing. So, and if you have any questions on how
Yes,
you actually
please.
submit, just post in help, and moderator or an
There's
admin will
trial
definitely
mods,
help
there's
you out.
moderate-
So
Lots of staff to help.
that's what we're here for. Yeah, forum post saves lives. So let's start utilizing this amazing website that Bjorn has made for it. So again, you know, we're not closed. The staff isn't like, hey, we're staff and you are the RPers. No, we're all RPers together. We may have different roles, but we do listen, even though some might think we don't. Personally, I go every day through the general chat, whitelist chat, and take my own personal notes and then bring them to the dev team and the staff when I have questions. So I'm constantly reading up on everything. So all right, now the last bullet point for the civ life is there's not enough civ jobs. Currently we have a decent amount right now, and David, do you want to expound upon that about the civ jobs?
Oh yeah. In my opinion, specifically, there are plenty of civ jobs. There's like 9 right now. It's just mainly people are prioritizing doing either oil working or mining because they give the best money.
That's-
However,
Yeah, that's something that will also change
Yeah.
very soon. Like I said, one of the 4 paths or more paths or whatever will have a focus on civilian jobs. And and the civilian jobs that are available now will most likely change. Because we're looking to build an underlying job system that we can then, you know, create jobs on top of. In an easy way. So there will be more jobs, like a lot more jobs, probably like 20 to 30 jobs, so to speak.
yeah.
Maybe more.
One thing I will say, just to add to it, is I agree there should be more civ activities, not just jobs, like things for civs to do. It's like one of the things that I've been wanting to do, but it's very difficult doing them because it's such an open request. It could be literally anything. So if you guys have any suggestions, you know, there's that suggestion section on the forum.
Yeah. And also what Jen said is that with the club down on the pier, definitely. Again, you don't need to actually have a mechanic to do a job. I came from a different server, and there was I suggested that someone actually run a. There was no mechanic involved, but there were a lot of people who were visiting Pillbox, and they had I suggested them, why doesn't someone actually run the shop that's in Upper Pillbox? You know, that's not a mechanic and all that, but you could actually run with that. And last time I checked, that person was doing pretty decent. And you know, because people were coming in and they saw there was a person at the little small store there, and they gave that person RP, and they were enjoying it. So you don't have to have a mechanic to actually have fun in RP. Think outside the box. There's mechanics. Yes, the server is basically a big sandbox. You could there's so many ideas. You could be a like there's someone who actually played as a hobo and refused to use a credit card or phone, and then every time when someone would try to give him a phone, he would throw it away or something, you know. And that person was running on just cash that he had, not on and so think outside the box. Don't be limited by the mechanics of the server, you know. Yeah, so that should be all addressed so far as basically the list that I compiled. So I'm going to be opening up the floor to so please be courteous. You can go ahead and unmute your microphone, but let's try to keep this as a civil discussion. So if I'm going to be opening up the floor to any questions or anything that, so go ahead and you can unmute your mic and just take turns. All right. Yeah, one at a time. So anyone has a first question, you can unmute your microphone. There we go. But Blue did bring up about a question about DOJ. I said that it is on the dev team's radar, but it's not a high priority right now because right now they're focused on inventory and economy and all that fun stuff. So, just for people who have questions about that. So, go ahead and Paul, go ahead and speak.
Sorry for being late on that. What was the thing that came from? I missed the whole criminal section about stuff being high risk, high reward. So I apologize for that, missing that myself.
Oh yeah, the that I think that was sort of discussed. Bjorn, do you have any thoughts on that?
I do, or I can tell you that there are going to be some big changes with the way the criminal activities work and the way the criminal systems work. And there will be a lot of communication around that in the next week or so. My main focus is getting the inventory system working. And then after that, I'm going to be discussing those changes. And I think a lot of you will enjoy that. I spoke a little bit with Dayton about it, Nathaniel Wood, Paul. So if you wanted to DM me, you can DM me and I can discuss a little bit with you. But yeah, anyway, there will be a lot of changes around that. And the idea of high risk, high reward, is it's a very broad thing. So it's something
No,
that
I
we'll
get it.
discuss for sure. And we'll get like a good, at least we'll get something that everybody can enjoy, and then we'll start, maybe adding some edge case type stuff to it.
Yeah,
Some
because I mean,
obscure criminal activity and stuff like that. Like the dark web stuff, like that's all in planning phases. I'm still looking into working on, some different mechanics around the dark web and how to get access to it, and all that. So that's in the works as well.
okay, because it's more so around the current mechanics we have, such as store robberies, drawer robberies. Banks fine in my
Mhm.
opinion. Like, yeah, you could change values, but so stores would have like you could do what you do currently, and then there could be something in the back that would take you longer. So then there's like that higher risk for a higher
Yep.
reward. Same with jewelry. It shouldn't be I can smash 5 cases or I can smash 20 cases because I have a hostage. I'll just smash every single one, kind of thing. Or if I don't, I'll fake hostage and just continue to smash all 20 anyways. That's the kind of thing I'm getting at. Things that take less dev time rather than
Yeah,
like
so
entire
that
new
that is
mechanics.
definitely on the planning phases. So you did miss just a little bit of what I explained earlier around that stuff. So once the inventory stuff gets done, right, there would be like 4 paths essentially that we'll be focusing on. It'll be like the criminal activity, like criminal path, the civilian path, and the general, activities path, right? Like golfing, whatever, like just regular old city activities, and then public service activities, right? Taxi jobs, mechanics, EMS, PD, implementing like bus routes and having a busing system, the flight school, having commercial flights, private flights, that kind of stuff, right? All of that stuff is included in those 4 paths. We just have to get over a few hurdles before we can really focus on it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, sweet things. You're next.
Okay. I want to ask a few questions about like I know legacies came to the club and stuff like that. What I mean, I've never seen any rules on how long the club can be open and stuff like that. I know Irish likes to usually DJ about 45 minutes to an hour. Is everybody okay with that time frame?
I think that if you make consistent times, people will get used to that and then come in. Again, nightclub
Okay.
is sort of it's still a new thing for the server. Since no one's
Mhm.
actually owned it, so to speak. So I think it just will take time, but yeah, if you have a consistent schedule and all that, people will come. So
Yeah, because see, he works. Okay, like he works. Um, Thursdays he goes to school, and then Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays he works during the day. So usually those 3 days, I want to plan something like karaoke night or something like that, where others can come into the club, and if they want to do karaoke, they can do karaoke. That way, if he comes in, to role play, that gives him a break
Mhm.
because uh, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights is when he can mainly DJ. He's also open to DJ if, say, whoever owns the Vanilla Unicorn needs a DJ. They just need to come to him and say, "Hey, you know, will you DJ for us or whatever?"
right, yeah. And again, yeah,
Because at
you're
first,
you're the
yeah,
owner. We have to remember you're the owner, so you sort of can run the schedule and all that. But again, my statement still stands, and looks like everyone's in agreement. Consistency,
right,
people will start coming. Uh, so
yeah, because that's what we're trying to do. I was trying to go off of the time in game, but it goes so fast that the first time I tried to do that,
yeah,
it screwed me all up. But I was
yeah,
like, no, we're just gonna have to do out of character time and set it for when it's gonna be
right.
and do it for that long. So
Yep.
okay, all
Did you have another question?
right.
Okay.
No,
All right.
no.
Who's next? Raise your hand. Or
I raise
all right,
hand.
Beta, go.
Ah, so about the inventory stuff. Uh, like I've noticed a lot of people have had problems with not having seeing items in their inventory. Is that like getting fixed
Yes.
or?
Bjorn is pushing out an update by the end of this weekend, and that will be fixing that issue. So
Also, can we like poke at the owner of the VU to start working because that is a problem.
that will be something that who are let's say the employees of the VU need to reach out to the owner. So again, that's sort of like an internal thing that you'll need to discuss and deal with. So
Mhm.
all right, who's next?
I'd like
Go for
to.
it.
So, my biggest concern right now, I know there's a lot of development stuff and there's bugs and things will break and all that stuff, and that's totally fine. Um, my biggest concern right now is the server culture. Um, I'm not entirely sure what we're striving for with that. When I first joined, like 3 or 4 months ago, it was advertised as like a serious RP server. I don't really see that being a focus as far as advertising the server goes. So we've also whitelisted like a ton of people in very recent weeks without really having any sort of idea on what their background is and what their goals are and everything on the server. So I would just like to kind of get an idea of what exactly our goal is with this server. What is like our mission statement? What are we trying to achieve? Are we like this sort of arcade run and gun experience with like cops versus robbers, or are we supposed to be more serious RP where it's like not 20 bank robberies a day sort of thing? Like what is exactly the thing we're trying to achieve? Because it's being pulled in various different directions, and honestly it's hard to get a handle on what people want out of the server.
Okay, that would be for management. Either Legacy or Bjorn. You'll probably need to um answer that question because like so basically the question is
Yeah,
like
so
what is our community feel moving forward with everything? Are we like a
So the biggest thing for me, right? I want a community where people will feel welcome to roleplay, whether they have a varying level of experience. At the same time, I still want it to be serious. I haven't been able to address that mission statement. I haven't been able to address any of that, any of that during this development that I've done. So it's something that we can definitely discuss and get a better understanding of what we want from the community. But yeah, that's my answer on it. I don't have it right now. I would like it to be a serious roleplay server somewhere people can actually have stories. They can have arcs within those stories. You know what I mean? I'd rather it not be just a run and gun, pseudo GTA Online. Definitely not my goal. So
Hmm.
So I guess
I'm
what
with
people
you,
are wondering, how
100%.
serious is this server? Because there's some servers that pride themselves in being almost IRL strict on things.
I would say this is pseudo serious, right? I'd say the level of serious it should be your own, but it should not devolve, too far, right? There should be a minimum level of lack of serious, if you know what I
Hmm.
mean. Um, right? You shouldn't just be getting on the server just to shitlord. There's a certain level of shitlord that I accept and I enjoy, right? It's the kind of shitlord that creates roleplay for people. If you run and shoot somebody, you don't create roleplay. Like if you think you're creating roleplay, you're not. You're literally shooting somebody and ending their roleplay, right? In that situation. There's multiple things you could be doing outside of shooting somebody. Um, as a criminal, as a cop, as anything, right? That's my opinion. I could talk for a while on that, I think.
Paul,
Hmm.
Um, lack of criminal intelligence is a thing that I've been trying to change.
right. Paul, do you want to elaborate a little bit on what your statement was there?
Oh, okay. So yeah, because I put my hand up first off and say I'm a shitlord. I'm pretty sure everyone in this room could easily confirm that. But um, it's getting to a point where, especially now doing stuff on a cop side as well as a crim side, you see things where rather than having like role play to roll through with and things that are serious and the police are respected to a point where like because shooting a cop in real life, right, that happens so rarely and it's so uncommon and things like that that it's happening, I'd say, like anytime most people don't get away, and that's excluding, funny enough, someone in this chat who I've never been shot by, despite could have dumped my ass about 3-4 times. And yeah, it is just getting to that point. Like it's a mixture of the fake hostage situations, the things like that. It it doesn't become serious RP anymore. It becomes flat out just bad for one side. People need to remember that things need to be good for all sides. And it's one thing that I think a lot of people are forgetting is their RP comes first. When it doesn't, you're meant to be creating a story for all people involved, including if you really snap a hostage, at least try and make things somewhat entertaining for them. But yeah, I am seeing a lot of one-sided RP, and a lot of people truly just not giving a shit. And then that's not shitloading anymore. You're just flat out trolling because you're not making it fun for everyone involved. You're like, I come first and that's it.
Right. Well, and go ahead and put in a player report for that. And then
Yeah, but
admins can. But like, look. I understand. I've gotten plenty of DMs from people about this, but we need to have actual statements from people, because if the person in question is being reported by tons of people, then we remove that person and the server is a little bit better. So again, people need to report. I know it is public and that was one of the concerns, but
yeah, I was about to make that counterpoint.
yeah, the public thing. But one is sort of like, hey, we're addressing to people like, hey, you were messing up so bad that we want to have everybody in the server to keep an eye on you, and that will probably help the person go, oh, okay, I probably need to back down. Or if they don't really care, admin is going to bap them. Plain and simple. So
Yeah, but it's like in those
yeah.
situations, they haven't like the one I kind of explained very vaguely. Technically speaking, you've not done anything wrong, right? It's a community aspect sort of thing. That's what I'm getting at. They technically haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with it by sets of rules. Like, yeah, you could very stringently catch them on fail RP, but you know, a lot of these people I'd say personally, like I try and keep a good relationship with everyone, and then suddenly dumping a player report on someone, and then that being as public as it is, people don't want to do it, and I can fully understand why.
Mm-hmm.
It's very confrontational. It's very toxic the way they're done. It's terrible, like flat out. I'll say it.
Well, let's see here.
Appreciate the feedback. Here's the deal with the public player reports. You have to be able to confront the people that you're reporting, and the way the forum is set up currently, you cannot do that without adding additional plugins or something like that. So they're public. So when you do report people, be respectful, even though they might have upset you or you might have upset them. You have to be respectful with the people that you're reporting. That's just the bottom line. And if you can't even do that, then I honestly I don't know what to say, to be honest. But yeah, continue.
No, thank you. As I say, that was just me expanding on the point
Again,
last.
yeah,
But
and
yeah,
you know, we had a lot of changes in the past 2 months or so, and you know, this in case people are wondering, this is not the end all. This is not like, okay, moving forward. Now we're constantly in flux right now because we, as Redacted, recently came from a different group, another server. We got server name change. We got a whole new culture swap, and so we, as Redacted, as a community, are trying to figure it out. And so this is what you see right now is not going to be what's going to be in the future. But again, that's why we have these community meetings, so we can hear and adjust. So yeah, just wanted to state that. So, and you know, the staff is open to people. We're not closed off and all that. So I'll be addressing that, Galaxy Mom, in the, after for wrap up. So Jacob, you raised your hand next.
I had brought up something to Legacy last night, and since Bjorn's here, I'd like to bring it up too. And since we're having a huge meeting, I brought up maybe possibly making the server public for a little while. We haven't had a lot of people, even whitelisted, that have really that I feel like we still have a low player population. It's always the same people in the server all the time, kind of same interactions, which isn't a huge deal, but it's kind of like another reason it's kind of led me away uh and like move on to another server for a little while is because it just feels stale, because it's always the same thing over and over again, you know. So I just wanted to bring that up. I don't know how Bjorn feels about that. Legacy said he was going to talk to him, but I wanted to bring it up since we're all here as a whole.
Yeah, I can answer that. The low population right now is bugs and RDR2 and other new games that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the deal with population. Don't worry about it. Honestly, I don't worry about it. When there's 0 people on this, I'm not worried about it. I am looking to the future. I'm looking to January and February, where we have an inventory system that's stable. We have jobs for every civilian that they want to do. Like I'm looking to then. I'm not looking to now. And you can't look at right now. You can't, because you'll get stuck with the numbers. You won't move past it, essentially, right? So like, again, I'm not gonna get mad at you if you go to other servers and play other servers. Like, if you want to go enjoy yourself in roleplay and you can't do it here, I'm not gonna hate you. Just go on to those other servers, enjoy yourself, come back when we have the updates. I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna pay for the server. If we have donations, it'll subsidize the costs. But we'll still be here next month, and we'll still be here in January. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I
This is
completely
again
understand.
passion project. I'm not too worried about it. So
And I got you, and I've respected everything you've done, Bjorn. 100%. I believe I've told you that in the past. It's something I wanted to bring up. Um, I don't know. It might be interesting to have even not being whitelisted for a little while, have a different influx of people. Maybe get
yeah,
a different interest in the server.
going public's not gonna fix the issue. It's just gonna add a bunch of people who may or may not stay. Right? It's not a big deal to me. That's why we're not going public. You know what I mean? We've whitelisted quite a few people. The reason they're not playing is because of the bugs and stuff. There's literally no criminal drugs. You can't buy drugs, that kind of stuff. You know
Right.
what I mean? There's a very, very severe lack of people because of the bugs that are currently affecting the server.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Just something I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and Paul, too, I just read your comment about pushing community members away, looking too far in the future. Yes, I agree. But you had to remember, I did state near the beginning that how everything goes is that there's a queue of updates, and then Bjorn pushes it to a server, and he was out for 2 weeks being sick. And so that's why we're a little bit backlogged right now. But hopefully, moving forward, we'll be able to push updates and get more consistent flow of things. And again, Redacted, we're constantly evolving, and right now we're in a little bit a low right now, but I'm very positive that we can move forward and be out. So, all right, go Max.
Hello, can you guys hear
Yep.
me? All right, good afternoon, evening. I have a quick question. What's the order of priority when it comes to the development updates at the moment? I kind of came a little bit late, so sorry if you guys had addressed that earlier.
Right now, Bjorn is actually pushing. He's been working on it as we've been doing this meeting. There's the inventory as well as economy that he is addressing by the end of the weekend. So,
Right. Okay, yeah. So I understand that the bugs are obviously number one priority, and especially when it comes to inventory. And that's kind of that's kind of obvious, right? But when it comes to the development of the server overall, like, is there like a roadmap that we have following at the moment? Or like, again, I just like want like a pretty, nothing too in depth, but like what's the hopeful or what's the plan going forward from this meeting as to what next will be addressed or be put into development.
right. I'll be heading up that department of getting communication. That was one of our points that I was addressing. Is just more communication from the dev side to the community on roadmaps and all that. Currently, as of right now, we don't have one, but doesn't mean
Okay.
we're not going to have those in the future, because since I'll be heading up that, talking and coordinating with the dev teams on what's coming up in the future.
Right.
Bjorn, you want to go?
Yep. So at the moment we have a massive mind map, and I've got basically a project ecosystem set up. So I have planned out what we need in terms of infrastructure, in terms of systems, etc. And most of that is completed. The biggest and the most tedious task for the future is going to be taking that massive mind map and road mapping it. The
Right.
biggest issue right now is we are chasing fires because we have the server open and we have ESX running. We have to make it functional first, right? So that people can play on it, and then we can work on the good stuff later. That's kind of the situation. So we'll be chasing fires until we put them out. And then, at that point we can move forward with actual, changes for the future.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to hear. All right. So at the very moment, you do not have an organized list or a roadmap as of now, and everything's just been chasing fires and fixing bugs.
Yeah. I mean, we have.
Mhm.
Let me see. Let me give you some numbers here. Let me see. We have 30 bug reports that are open right now. And we have 84 suggestions. So that is our roadmap.
Okay. As of right now. Okay.
Yes, they are public. You can go on there. You can look at them. There is a
Yeah. I've
board.
been looking at
Yeah,
a few of
there's
them.
also a board. You can actually see which state each of those items are in. There's reviewing state, there's discussion, implementation in progress, and implementation and testing. So
Okay.
that's the roadmap essentially right now. Later on, when there's more time for the development team to do documentation or, you know, public reports and stuff like that, if we get that availability, we'll start releasing higher quality change logs, etc.
Right. Because I believe the changelog has not been updated yet,
The
right?
newest one has not been updated. That will be
Okay.
updated when I have time after fixing the inventory stuff.
Gotcha. All right. Okay. All right. I'm pleased with my answer. Thank you so much.
Cool. Also, I just realized this might be helpful for your community as well. Is that Frank Campbell and myself, we are we have the role of support, so to speak. So he heads up the bug reports. So if you notice on the website, he's the one who puts it in and says submitted and all that, and then myself and Seven works on the suggestions. So if you have a category, let's say a bug and all that, and you're not sure if it's what the update is, contact Frank for that. And if there's a suggestion you're not sure about, contact me. So go ahead, Paul.
So I know that shut up, Ryan. I know that the economy said it was going to be addressed, and that was kind of like the point made on it. But like, what's the kind of space that the dev team are looking for it to be at? Because currently, if I was to suddenly temple full civ, for example, you could make, I'd say, without fueling, because fueling's its own different problem, something like 1 to 2 grand every hour, right? And then you could easily spend that on repairs, food, etc., and be negative by the end of it. So, and that's even worse for people like PD and EMS, that their wage packet is the only thing they're going to be looking at. So, what's the kind of space that the dev team are looking for that to be in? Because at the moment, I'd say it's pretty painful for a lot of people.
Right, and I believe Bjorn is addressing that with because he said that it's inventory as well as a little bit of economy tweaks. So I don't know the exact details, but I think that's being addressed by the end of this weekend's update. If I'm wrong, Bjorn, correct me.
Well, economy is going to be constantly changing until we get it balanced. So when we address the 4 paths for the server with criminal job or criminal activity, public service activity, civilian activity, and general activity, once we can address those paths, that is when the economy will be in a better shape. And again, it'll be constantly changing. If you'd like to suggest item prices, make that suggestion in the suggestions. Maybe with hey, these items are missing. Like, you guys can create a list of items in that suggestion and, make your own opinion on what how much it should cost. As for civilian jobs, again, those will all be changing quite a bit. So the the salaries, etc., all that stuff will be changing depending on how we change the mechanics of, you know, um, mining or fueling or trucking deliveries, etc. So there'll be a lot of changes within that. So expect the economy to be shifting, and eventually it'll stabilize.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have any questions? Okay. Does any of the moderators or trial staff, now's your time to voice your thoughts or anything that you, your perspective on things. Go for it. If you have any. Okay. All right. So, so final point that we're going to be discussing. How often would you want a town hall meeting like this? I'm thinking sort of like at least once a month, or do we need to once a month? Okay. Monthly. Okay. Sounds good. How about the first Saturday of every month? Would that work? Okay, cool. All right. So we'll make that as a directive. So that means next meeting will be on December 7th. Also question, how was the time frame? Currently it was at noon Eastern Standard Time, but I know that we have a lot of people who are across the pond and have different time zones. Was that okay, or do we need to tweak it? Because I'm totally cool with tweaking. I just know that I'm trying to accommodate the time for everybody if possible. And again, we do record these, and I'll be uploading on YouTube. So for people who have missed it, they can read chat and all that fun stuff. So can I get a yes on time is okay, or do we need to tweak? Time is good. All right, cool. So I guess we'll see you all on December 7th at noon Eastern time again for our next town hall meeting. So I'll be stopping the recording now.